Hi guys, and welcome to a new video. This is Increase Your Spin Time Part 2. So this one out of the box span 1 minute 20 seconds one way and 1 minute 11 seconds the other way. So I removed the shields. Let's just show you what tool I used, which is no ring removing tool. I just punched it through the shield and levered it off. So I removed the shields, and then it only had 3 weights in, so it spanned for 1 minute and 11 seconds both sides. So I flatted the plastic frame to see if it made a difference on a piece of glass with sandpaper. I don't know if you can see the surface there, to make the surface flatter and smoother, and it made no difference. So that's that bit done. So I de-oiled the bearing with no shields and 3 weights. This one has 6 in at the moment, and it span at 2 minutes and 45 seconds and 2 minutes and 41 seconds. So I de-oiled the bearing with no shields and 6 weights and the better of 2 spinner bearings, and I got 4 minutes and 30 seconds one way and 4 minutes and 6 seconds the other. So I thought the caps might be rubbing, and it turns out that they're not, because they are quite a tight fit there. I don't know if you can see that. You can't really see any gap. You can on that bit, just a slight gap. Slightly better on the one that I flatted. So this bearing slides in only on one way. So if you do buy one of these, make sure that the big cap always slides against. Let's go ahead and show you. There's a bump stop in the bottom there, so the bearing will only come out one way. So it goes in that way, and then you use the big cap on that side, and that way you're pushing against the bearing to get the hardest cap in, and then you put the other side in and it's done. So the warping is just a camera. So what does it spin like with one hand? Okay, a bit of warping for you. The camera's doing that. So this bearing slides in only one way. Make sure the bigger centre goes in first, opposite to the bearing stop, and pushes against the bearing stop. So let's go ahead and show you who I bought it from. So that's the picture of them. That's all the various ones that are available. That's the title there, 99p as well. So that's the title. That's the seller, Status Trade Limited. And then it's a random colour option. You don't get to choose. No weight information, no bearing information, and it's an alloy spinner, which it isn't. It's plastic with steel discs, and it's UK stock. So that's that bit done. So I would advise not to take apart the bearing. Leave the cage alone, as it will ruin the bearing. Clean the bearing without removing the cage or balls. Once you have separated the balls from the liner, from the inner and outer race, it is really difficult to put them back together without grease. And don't even bend back one of the tabs if it looks raised. It will slow the bearing down, because both of these bearings had a raised tab and I bent them down and it slowed them down. So maybe they're designed to spin with one raised tab. So if you take the bearing apart, I have not been able to get the same spin time again. After rebuilding the bearing, it is always a lot less, especially with flimsy metal cages like this. So let's go ahead and show you the metal cage. It's not a very good one. The cage is just there to separate the balls to stop the bearing collapsing. So I don't know if you can see that. Let's see how close I can go. Let's do that way and then show you the other way. I think that's the way it's bent over. So I've wrecked at least 10 bearings by taking them apart. I do this so you don't have to, so you have been warned, don't do it. I bought these spinners for the weights, not for the spinners. The spinner is a smaller bearing than a skate bearing, so let's go ahead and show you the skate bearing. So it's quite a lot smaller. This spinner has 6 balls and the skate bearing has 7. Let's go ahead and show you it over the top. So the centre's quite a lot smaller as well. This bearing wouldn't fit in anyway because of the holes punched through. There wouldn't be any plastic left. So that's just to save weight, the punched out holes. Let's go ahead and show you the weight of this spinner. So in my last video I did a spinner and I stuck the bearings in the outs, stuck 6 bearings in it, so 3 2 in each arm. If you can see how much they stick out, and the reason why they span slower with more weight was because they were stuck out in the wind and slowing it down, creating wind resistance. So let's go ahead and show you the weight of that one. So that's 86 grams or 3 ounces. Let's go ahead and show you let's just put the caps in. Sorry about this, just bear with me while I do it. So that's the spinner with 6 bearings with 6 counterweights in, which is 71 grams. Let's go ahead and show you the ounces, 2.5 ounces. Let's go ahead and take out some of the bearings. So these are the weights. You only get 3 in each spinner, and that's why I bought 2, because I needed 6 weights. So that's what they look on one side. That's what they look rounded on the other side, because they're punched out one way out of the flat piece of steel. Let's go ahead and show you one. So the weight of one is equal to the weight of one bearing. So that's one there. Let's put a bearing on there. 11 grams, that bearing. So for the same size, let's go ahead and show you them against each other. So it's virtually the same thickness. The mess on the side is just where they punched them out. They didn't clean the surface. So it's about the same thickness. So 2 of them is 20 grams. So I'm effectively getting double the weight in the outer arms. So this is the last video I did, the part 1 of increase your spin time. So the sticking out bearings have higher wind resistance and slower spin time. So the big problem with these thin steel weights is they can fly out if they're not in your fidget spinner frame properly. I'm going to use a small blob of hot melt glue in the middle of them and use my small hammer to make sure they are flat in the frame. Let's go ahead and show you the mode. So they're 0.7 ounces for the 2 bits of steel. Let's move them out of the way. Let's bring that back in. So yeah, as I put them in, I'm going to put one in and get it semi-flat, and then I'm going to stick another one in the other side with a bit of hot melt glue in the middle, and then I'm going to put them against a flat surface, and then I'm going to hit the surface to push them down around so they're nice and flat, so they don't stick out in the air. If they stick out, they're likely to fly out. So I wanted the thinnest, heaviest weights I could find for testing other bearings for more videos. These spinners were 99p from the UK each. So bearings don't need to be on the outside, and some are fake, made from lumps of 2 or 3 gram plastic. These are far better as spinner weights. Be careful though, if you use these steel weights they can fly out and damage things. It is up to you to make sure your spinner is safe for you and people around you. So I have ordered a lot of different designs of fidget spinners to see what can be gotten for the smallest amount of money. So let's move that out of the way. It doesn't like sitting. So these are just a few that I've got. So this one is quite a good one. It spins for 5 minutes and 25 seconds. And that one cost me £1.89. And I've got this one, which spanned for 3 minutes. That's a Captain America one. That spanned for 3 minutes. And that one cost me £5.14. And then we've got my most popular video at the moment for some reason is this one, which is a flower design. That was £1.04 and only spanned for 47 seconds. This is another interesting one, which is a gear design, cog design, and that was £2.78. And that spanned for 1 minute 38. And this is a new one that no one's seen yet. So this is it's not really a spinner, it's just for fun basically. So it's a Chinese Lego one. It's not fantastic. It's £1.64 and you only get 8 seconds spin time out of it. I was thinking about putting some weights on the outside, but if you do that, the whole thing flies apart. So it's really just to sit on your shelf. If you're a Lego fan, then that's something that might interest you. So that was £1.64 and it was a Chinese Lego. As you can see, it doesn't say Lego on the tops of the towers, the tops of the lumps. Let's see if it'll focus. Really struggling here. Come on, there we go. So it's Chinese Lego, that one. So that's it, guys. Anyway, thanks for watching my video, and check back soon. Cheers!